5. So you couldn't do anything last fall. Now you could, right? I've got another agent that's got a property and his client's hoping to get $1.7 million for this particular property. We think it's worth about 1.5 maybe. So we listed it for 1.3. He's got 19 offers, already got a bully offer on the property, and bully offer was 1.5 range, not 1.7, but there's 19 offers in 2 days or something there over the weekend. So what would you do? Would you guys take a bully offer or would you wait? Hey, wait. He's got offer dates later on this week, right? So everybody waits, right? That was the suggestion. Strategy right now for listings, we're telling everybody to price low. Is that right? Here, looking at Nelson here. So $1 million property, if we're telling them to price it low, $2 million property, if we're telling them to price it low. We are finding though that the $1 million properties plus or minus 100,000, 200,000, those ones are going quite quickly. They're getting multiple offers, getting lots of activity. Properties in the 2.5, $3 million range, not so much. Everybody else experiencing the same thing. So it's going on out there. So there are buyers out there, but the buyers are not paying February 22 prices. They're paying today's prices. So even though this property just talked about, we're trying to get, we think it's 1.5, but we got an offer already 1.5. The seller wants 1.7. I don't think he'll get it, but if he does, that's super. But I'm just curious whether or not of the 19 people that showed the property, we have it listed for 1.3. I bet you half those offers, if we did get offers, half of them would be for 1.3. So if you've got a buyer out there, does anybody have buyers that do not want to compete? You heard that one? I have buyers that don't want to compete because you're competing against people that are thinking that they can get bargains. I wouldn't put in an offer because your buyer does not want to compete. I wouldn't do that. Right. If you're the selling side and the guy says to you, will your client accept 1.3? I don't know. Put it in writing. Let's see. Right. Put everything in writing. Don't talk's cheap. Right. Make sure you always put something in writing. So that's important. Yeah, so that's what's going out there. As far as the street goes, as of yesterday, we've got over 10,000 active listings, probably about 10,200. So that's gone up quite a bit. Then that's strong. We were last month we were 10,200 as well. Sorry, last week 2,200, and the week before about 10,100. So they're actually going up just a little bit. We are seeing some sales. I'm definitely seeing sales for sure. Right now we've got 3,725 sold properties as of the first 19 days in March. Last year we had 6,800, so it's actually still down 46%, but that's better than last week. Last week was down 49%. So we're 3% ahead of the game, right? No. Woohoo! Come on, guys, you get 3% return. That's quite a bit, right? Freeholds themselves are actually down 48%, and condos are only down 42%. And again, last week it was about 3% difference between the two, so it is starting to stretch a little bit. Leases themselves are taking over, so the sales are down almost 50%, but leases are actually up 1%. Condo leases are down 3%. Everybody's telling me that the condo leases are taking off, but they're actually down 3%, and the freeholds are up 10% for leases. So I guess a lot of people aren't buying because they can't afford to buy, I guess. But it's starting to change. I'm starting to see that change. How about you guys? Anybody else sees that the buyers are changing a little bit more? Starting to get more buyers out there?
Confidence.
A little more confidence out there, a little more, who's involved in multiples on the weekend? Anybody? As you were? Anybody else? Anybody else involved in any offers on the weekend? No. So
we're noticing it's like, even if they have an offer night, some places that have been sitting for 2 weeks, it'll go put an offer on it, and then all of a sudden there's 4 offers on a house that's just sitting. So like we're seeing that now.
We've seen that for many times, where property sits there forever, and all of a sudden you put an offer in, and all of a sudden the agent tells you, "Oh, you're the second offer now," and they wait a minute here, it's been there for 60 days and never been. And also now there's 2 offers. Your first instinct is you don't believe the agent, right? But the fact is that if you don't believe the agent and you don't change your offer, chances are you're going to lose because there is a second offer. Right? I've seen that many times. There's no rhyme or reason for it, but there it is. The Americans are still having problems with their banks, affected the stock market a little bit. Anybody check the stock market today? Is it still creeping down or trending down? You sounds on there. What's the TSX or the Dow doing right now? That was up, right?
Most things are up today.
Yeah.
Nasdaq's up.
There was a bank in the States with the Swiss Bank I thought the Switzerland was the strongest banks in the world, right? No, they had problems there. The Swiss Bank in the US. And part of the problems they said because of increasing interest rates, people are cashing out, they want their cash out. So they're all making a run on the banks, right? So that was interesting. But the stock market's a different game, right? Stock market, I think they do things on purpose. So they purposely drive the prices down, and the first guys that buy are the guys that are selling. So the guys that sold last week because the market's crashing, the first guys that buy, right? So they're manipulating the stock market, whereas real estate you can't manipulate that much. So it's interesting how that works. Events, we have a Mike Ferry event coming up on April the 4th and April the 6th, and I thought maybe it was Larry Kozak, but I was wrong. It's actually Mike Ferry himself that's going to be doing the presentation, so that's a pretty good deal. It's $195. It's at the Congress Center, which is at the airport, and it's usually what is it, like it's usually 4 days, right? Full days?
3 days.
Yeah.
Is it 3 days this time?
5th and 6th.
And it's a very good, strong, so very good event. I know that Susan does the Mike Ferry. You plan on going there, Susan? Are you aware of it? I don't know if you are or aren't, but anyways, there it is. So if you guys are sort of in the limbo, you're not sure which direction you want to go, which pillar works, what pillar doesn't work, then Mike Ferry would definitely be somebody you want to look at. I think everybody should at least get exposed to Mike Ferry type training or Buffini or whatever it might be. Mike Ferry is just, it's phone calling. Close, basically it's phone calling, but he is getting more and more with the past clients. But when you think about it, your past clients, you can deal with that later on. If you have to get that client first to does that make sense?
Right.
You have to have the client first to make them a past client. You got to be a first client. So the Mike Ferry type idea is to phone strangers and try to get properties. We're not allowed to go after expired listings. We're not allowed to identify expired listings through the MLS, but we could certainly door knock an area or a farming area and places like that. There's no reason why you can't do that. But there's certainly business out there that's sort of a lost art. Everybody even talked about expired listings for forever. We haven't even talked about it for such a long time. But there may be an option there. People that, as I said here in Brampton, the guy couldn't get $850 in the fall, but today gets $885. So if you got somebody that was on the market in the fall, it's not on the market today, maybe they might reconsider if the prices are starting to get nearer to what they want. Does that make sense? So as a it's definitely a tool out there. You got a door knock. You can't just identify the expiry, but you can certainly phone call the neighborhood and door knock the neighborhood. So there's things you can do out there. Mike Ferry's up there. Toronto's condo explosion is just getting started. So these are good news. So they're talking about 100 towers could be going up every year in Toronto. And they've identified quite a few units there. They're saying because of the transit. So everybody's complaining about how the traffic's so bad downtown with all the Eglinton line, the Ontario line, and all these things here. The traffic that's been horrible and it's been destructive. But the end result is that the government wants people to build condominiums around the transit centers. So this is what's going on, and that's why they're saying there could be 100 condos coming per year once they get all the infrastructure all figured out. So if you're in that game for pre-construction or you wanted to get investors back in the game, then maybe you want to go up and down those transit lines to see what's going on. Transit lines in particular, you've got Eglinton and Redpath. So that's a hot spot right now. You got the Eglinton Crosstown Light Rail, so you've got dozens of condos being erected all along that line. There's 25,000 new condominium units that are going to be completed this year. So an additional 100,000 units set to be completed between 24 and 25. So there's lots of inventory coming up that people are complaining about inventory. It's starting to happen. Yeah, so that's good news. Then. Where else is the transit city? Where's that in Vaughan? Isn't there a big transit city up there? Is that what the complex is called, Transit City? And then was it Downsview? Downsview is going to be a whole bunch of stuff going on in Downsview and Vaughan. And I know that somebody told me they live at Eglinton Road at the foot of the what's that highway? Is it Black Creek Highway? So right down there at Eglinton, right there, that's going to be a big hot spot too for condominiums. So lots of business out there if you want to get in that game. Oh, the pre-construction game. There's still lots of room for that. Can't see this on TV, but or on TV on YouTube, but this is just the dot of condominiums that will be coming up. They won't be able to see that. No. There we go. You can kind of see them, right? You guys can see where they're all coming from. There we go. Called Boomtown. Also down at the foot of Don Valley Parkway at the lakeshore, they're doing all kinds of construction down there. Has anybody tried to drive down there recently? At the foot of Don Valley and Lakeshore? Has everybody didn't just forget it, man. Pack your lunch and your dinner. You know, because it's everywhere down there. So that's going to be a big spot too. We're talking about immigration in Toronto areas. I'm still sticking to the condos here, investments. What are they telling us that that new Canadians, they want how many new Canadians to come every year? What was the number they've been throwing around? New immigrants coming to Canada, right? Wasn't it 400,000 or 500,000 per year, and majority of them are coming to Toronto? There's additional 550,000 international students that are coming to Canada as well that are renting. These are students that are just coming to rent and hopefully get their PR card later on. So there's all kinds of students coming to the Toronto area as well as other areas too, going to school. So going back to the investor side, if you've got people that are sitting there with cash in their house thinking about investing, then you might want to consider getting into those condos downtown because there's lots of activity. Does anybody notice any downtown condos? Is there multiple offers on those, or is it a little slow there? Anybody know? Nobody's got stuff downtown. They're also saying here that the periphery of Toronto is starting to bounce back. So periphery. So Toronto's the center of the universe. And then places like Barrie and Kitchener and the outside areas are the sort of the peripheral areas of the outside areas. And during the last year and a half where the prices increased, the prices went up higher in those areas than they did in the 416. And now, so we're seeing the reverse happen. So now those places are starting to drop as well. Barrie market, they're talking about how the market's reached a balance finally. The buyers have begin to, what are you saying here? In Barrie, the market is reaching balanced territories. Buyers begin to move off the sidelines. So they're starting to come back to the market. So that's good. They're starting to bounce back. Their sales are only down 39% compared to ours 50%. So that's why it's bouncing back. They're also talking about other areas outside of Toronto being Kitchener and Hamilton and all those places, well, Collingwood. So all these places are starting to see an increase again, which is good for everyone. Most people in Toronto hopeful that real estate market will bounce back despite declining trends. So even though we've had all these negative things about the interest rates and the house prices and the mortgage rates, things like that, people are still hopeful that they're going to be able to buy something. They're still not deterred. So we may ourselves talk ourselves into thinking maybe how the market's so bad because of interest rates and nobody wants to do stuff, but the public themselves don't think like that. So these guys did a study, and they did a study with the baby boomers, Generation X, Millenniums, Generation Z. Don't ask me what years those are. I know the boomers, I don't know the other ones are, but anyways, they're all, they interviewed these folks. So this is funny. So they interviewed people between the ages of 18 to 77. What do you think about the real estate market? Right? That's a pretty broad range. 36% of those people that between those age said that plan on buying within the next 5 years.
15 to 70.
Right? 36%. 18 years age to 77 years age. And they're talking about purchasing a home. So I'm thinking 77-year-olds want to sell the house. They're talking about purchasing a home. So that's fine. 60% of respondents said they believe that that the market will perform the same or better in the next 10 years. So they're confident their investments are going to increase. So 60% believe that their investments are going to be fine in the next 10 years. So that's good news too. So again, don't yourself get caught up in the papers of all the doom and gloom. The public itself doesn't think like that. So that's encouraging. I thought this was surprising. Calgary Real Estate Association, don't ask me why, we're asked to vote in Alberta to have one real estate board in Alberta. Remember, we talked about that here. Like, we've got our Toronto Real Estate Board here. And we think, well, why do we have Toronto Real Estate Board? And why does Barrie have a board? And why would London have a board? Why wouldn't you just have one board for all, for all Southern Ontario? So the same question was asked in Calgary, and the Calgary Real Estate Board voted against joining the rest of the board. Not weird, eh? I would thought they would have jumped at the chance, but they didn't. Just so you know, Barrie Board has decided, they voted that they're going to join Toronto Real Estate Board. So is anybody join the PDAR? I'm not sure when the effective date of that's going to be. It's probably soon. But what that means is they're going to be, Barrie Board is going to be the same as the Durham Board. If you guys know that, the Durham Board uses the Stratus database. So Barrie Board right now uses ITSO, and they'll be converting over to the Stratus database like ours. So it'll be the same thing. So anybody that belongs to the Barrie Board may decide not to join the Barrie Board anymore. And I belong to the Peterborough Board, so you might want to join the Peterborough Board instead of the Barrie Board. I think Mississauga Board's got something going on too, if you want to still have access to ITSO. Some people did. Some people used the ITSO. Some people joined ITSO during the rush, and then they gave up their membership as well. Alex. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So once Barrie merges with Trev, then if you join Barrie to belong to ITSO, you won't have access to that anymore. So you'll have to join either Peterborough or Mississauga, something like that, if you want to get access to those other things. Everybody's okay with that? I know a lot of people join just to have access to all those different boards, but I know a lot of people have been giving them up as well. I talked about that class action suit last week. I don't want to talk that again. So, I don't know. You guys tell me. So buyers are not buying in Toronto because what, prices are too expensive? Is that, first time buyers having a hard time buying in Toronto because prices are too high? Average price in Toronto right now is what, just slightly less than $1 million. But I just wonder whether or not we're looking everywhere here. These aren't the best neighborhoods, but what they're saying here is they're ranking they're identifying the most affordable neighborhoods. I don't know. I'm just thinking. Does anybody have a client who's got first time buyers? Somebody tell me a first time buyer. What's the first time buyer want to buy today? Townhouse. What else? Not condos? So first time buyer comes to you and they say they want to buy something. What are you showing them? You're showing them like, and so what are they going to afford? This is important. Okay, but do they want to look at $400,000, $500,000 condos? This is here's my point. Okay, so like a $400,000, $500,000 condo is beneath them. Doesn't fit their life. Doesn't fit their lifestyle. They don't like the neighborhoods maybe.
Yeah. Neighborhood space, $4,000 space.
Yeah. I just wonder whether or not I do the same thing. I just wonder how many people, when they have a new agent or a new buyer, that they're looking after the brand new stuff that's going for $1,100, $1,200, $1,400 a square foot, right? Rather than looking at the stuff that's been around for a while and it's going for less than that. And I'm talking about investors too, not just end users. Anyways, the most affordable communities. So these are condos, but you've got a place like Scarborough Village. The average price is $492,000. So why wouldn't you start to introduce somebody to that for $492,000? You can buy, it's just $500,000, right? You can buy something with $25,000 down, and you got your starter home, starter condo. Could be. Could be. It's at Scarborough Village. Would be Scarborough Village. I'm thinking it's like Rainbow Village. It's like down here at. Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I know, but you can live with your parents, or you can get out, right? So I'm just thinking that sometimes are we aiming too high for some of these buyers instead of getting into this thing here? How about investors? Well, I haven't got much to invest. Well, again, with $25,000 down, I'm not sure I'm not sure how much the maintenance fees are, but investors don't have to buy brand new, they can buy old. Right? Scarborough Village, 492. You've got Eglinton East, 522. You've got West Humber, 521. You got Yorkdale Glen Park. I'm not sure where that is. 527. Flemington Park. I'm not saying these aren't good areas, right? 537. York University Heights. We've been selling that stuff on Keeley, right? I mean, it's right there. But anyways, here's 543. Jamestown. I don't know. There's lots of options out there. You don't have to go to the big stuff. You don't have to go to the shiny stuff. There's all things out there. Korea. I don't know. Korea and Maria Rico. I was telling the girls there I'm being taped here, so I'm not sure what I want to say about all those guys. You tell me. I don't know. Keep your ear to the ground. I just got off the phone with Rico. And I'm not satisfied with what they told me, so I'm not going to repeat everything they said. But the point they made to me was that that we had our chance to have our input, and now that the decision's been made, don't cry. That wasn't the words they said, but it was pretty close. No, that wasn't the words. So that was pretty close. They say, look, we're ready. This thing starts the new laws, April 1st. So don't come me on March 19th complaining about it, because you've had every chance to complain. You understand what I'm saying? But I have another point to them saying that, you guys never told us what you were doing. So anyways, so Korea has decided that they want to investigate looking at realtor.ca and to decide whether or not realtor.ca should be a for-profit website. Meaning that the public's going to have access to realtor.ca. It's going to be run by a company rather than a real estate organization. It's going to be run for profit. So they're going to have stuff in there for mortgage brokers to advertise on it, the movers to advertise on it, maybe agents, or like NAR, maybe like realtor.com. Right?
I don't know, but
yeah, realtor.com is privately owned too in the States. Yeah. So it's privately owned as well. So they're talking about doing that, and they're talking about making it for profit. So now they're going out for consultation to all the realtors to get our input as to what we think about the idea. So if you're interested in that and want to get politically involved, and it's something that you're passionate about, then you might want to have an input on that as well.
Would they listen?
Would they listen? Sure, they'll listen. Yeah, they'll listen. They'll listen. Going back to the condominiums, if you really want to get involved in condominiums, I mentioned a webpage some time ago there called Income. Some people are getting involved in that, where they're doing their pre-construction stuff, and Income, they populate that webpage with pre-construction stuff. And all you have to do is pick the project that you like and put it on your webpage and promote it if you want to get in the pre-con game. That's one way of doing it. The big boys, they have their own web pages and they populate it themselves. But if you want to sort of put your foot into it and see what it's like, that's certainly an option there. Or you can go to the site here called Urban Toronto. Urban Toronto is the site I mentioned some time ago, where they talk about all the up and coming new projects. They'll talk about projects that are just now put an application in for the building permits. Like they're at the very early stages. They're probably 2, 3, 4 years away. But if you're going to be in the pre-con business full time, like as a serious way of making money, that's where you want to be. So I would recommend that you go to Urban Toronto website and just get make that as your feed, that you sort of read up on stuff that's coming up with all the different projects that are there.
How far is the project?
Yeah, so 3, 4 years away, or some projects they're even at the
6 months before launch date.
that you're going to go on the other site. You're going to go on the Altus for that site. You know, the Altus replaces RealtorNet, and Altus is I think it's up and running now. And that'll be all pre-constructed. That's stuff that is being launched within the next 6 months or so. I'm talking about stuff that's going to be like 2, 3 years away. With something it's a lot longer window there.
It's brought them by the city or something?
Yeah, you can search by builder. Things like that. Your rent increases this year for 2023 is 2.5%. Somebody asked me the question, how much do they have to pay interest on the last month's deposit? And generally you had to pay was based on the CPI, like the consumer price index. So I don't know.
Just the last month, and whatever you can increase
Yeah,
is what the interest is,
Yeah.
because it gets applied to your last month's rent and keep it on par.
just so you know how the law works, the government will allow you to increase the rental by the consumer price index, CPI index, as long as it's not over 2.5, because if it's over 2.5, that's the maximum. So right now the CPI is what, 8%? No, 6.9, 6.7%. So even though your client is paying 6.7 or percent for inflation, that he's only he's paying 2.5 increase in the rent. And I assume he has to pay 2.5% on the last month's deposit, not the 6.7. So he's making money. We also have now List Track. Everybody knows on Toronto MLS, you have List Track, which is it's a live button there now where you can actually go to the realtor.ca web stats and find all the stats on your listing, find how many people looked at the property, get how many hits, showings, things like that. So you can show your client if the property's not selling fast enough for them, you can show them all the work you've done and all the exposure you're getting on realtor.ca. That's through the List Track, right?
You can only do it on your own listing.
It's just your own listing. Yeah,
Only for sales properties, not for lease.
correct. Okay, so that's so if you want to get more data to show your client, that's there. Memberships data, okay, 67,866. Okay, now I want to spend more time on this. Last week I told you about the Trust and Real Estate Act and how it's changed a little bit. So I got a little more information, not as much information as I want. I still have more questions. And the biggest thing we talked about last week was the self-represented. So let's just go back this a little bit. The Trust and Real Estate Act, there's 3 phases, phase 1, 2, 3. Phase 1 was when they allowed your personal PRECs, your personal real estate corporations, and a couple other things. So they've done that. Phase 2 now is supposed to be April the 1st.
What's that?
April the 1st, it's supposed to be effective. And I've been reading. I went to the RICO website and it said for updated information on the tax-free savings account, click here. I click on there and I get the updated information that was dated November 2019. So, and then I phoned them today and I said, look, this thing's supposed to go April 1st. He says, yeah, it's April 1st is the deadline. I says, well, we haven't got any form. You haven't told us anything. Like nobody's, you're supposed to go with all these forms and all these things. Yeah, well, that's a RIO's problem. I'm talking to RICO. And I said, well, wait a minute. RICO says that you have to give us 2 forms. You have to give us a agency explain type form for the self-represented people, and you have to give us also another form that that talks about the information guide about real estate in general, and that has to come from RICO. I says, you have those? He says, yes, we have them. He says, they've given to us yet. Have you published them yet? No, we haven't published them yet. So they have them ready to go, but they haven't published them. So it's April 1st, right? So what I also read on there is that RICO and AREA have gone to the government, made some suggestions, and if the government agrees with the suggestions, then they'll extend the April 1st deadline to some other time. But we're not going to know till Wednesday whether or not they're going to allow those changes or not. And one of the changes I'm telling that they need to look at is, remember last week I told you about showing properties to unrepresented people? They again on the phone today, and it's this is not definitive. I'll tell you what I think will be definitive at the end, but I'll just talk about my conversation where they kept on saying that if you have your seller and you have an unrepresented person, you can show your seller, you can give the person information, you can assist that person because you're helping your seller. And I had to remind them 3 or 4 times. I'm not talking about your listing. I'm talking about an internet lead. I'm talking about web pages. I'm talking about people that don't have listings. Those are the people I'm concerned about, because what you told us is that self-represented people were not allowed to give them service, and including showing properties. And they said, oh, really? Show me that. So I have to show that where it says. But they're almost saying here that unless you've got an agreement, you can't give this guy any service. So to me, it's all crap. I think what's going to happen, and regardless if April 1st or not, if you've got somebody that's not represented, I think what's gonna happen at the street level is that you're gonna have somebody on the phone. You guys tell me what happens. Somebody phones you off the internet from your webpage, right? It's not your listing. So somebody phones you up right now and says, what? I want to see the place. And what do you guys do? This is over the phone now. What do you guys do? Hmm?
Qualify them for.
So how do you qualify them? Are you working with anybody else? They always say no,
If there are any offers with anyone.
right? What else
I
do you
didn't
do?
sign the contract for this property.
The guy's phoning you on your ad. The guy's phoning you on a webpage. I just want to see the property. What's with the questions? Isn't that what they say or no? Right?
Okay, when you, are you
And then what do? Don't you say, okay, when you avail, don't you book the appointment?
Yeah.
According to these guys, you're not allowed to do that. According to this, you gotta have an agreement signed before you can give them any service. I'm saying that's all crap. So I'm thinking what you do is you do what you did normally when you go see them, and then when you meet the guy, you show them a couple of properties, right? And then you decide. You don't give them any details. You don't give them like a client details. You don't give them exactly every little penny here of the valuations and things, but you give them some ideas, general market, and then you decide whether you like the guy or not. And if you like the guy, then you approach him and say you want to be represented. If you don't like the guy, then you just flush him away. But the way they're saying here, you got to have the agreement done first. That's not practical. So let's not do that. Right. So don't be all hung up on the new things.
They're trying to protect the agents. Is
They're
that
trying to
why?
protect the public. They got nothing. Rico's not our friend,
How's that protect the public?
because now they know they're being represented. But here's the plus side. You ever get those guys that phone you up and say, I only deal with the listing agent?
All the time.
Not anymore, sir. You have to sign an agreement before I give you any service.
So they sign a self-represented agreement?
There's no such thing as self-represented agreement.
So how do they see the house?
They don't. According to Rico, they don't.
Sign the agreement for just.
So you have to use the law to your advantage, okay? So many times, tell me if I'm wrong, okay? Many times if you get a sign call, you don't want to show the guy the property.
Yeah.
Because maybe you're in Toronto and your listing's in London. No. Maybe, okay, no. You're in Scarborough and you're listening downtown Toronto. Some guy phoned you up and says wants to see the place. So what? You're gonna drop everything and show? And do you guys tell me what you do? Do you guys drop everything and show them that one property? What does everybody do?
Local agent clear.
No. What does everybody do?
I don't know if they're
Do
qualified.
people- No. Do you guys do that? If somebody phones you, if you have a listing downtown Toronto, you actually show them that property? I'm getting I'm not getting any feedback there.
Or do you guys ignore the realtor.ca leads?
And then the guy says to you, I don't know. Okay, I guess I'm not giving you an answer here. I would think not. I don't know.
I just pick a proper time.
Or pick a time that suits you, right?
Yeah.
Because if you.
Pick a time that suits, but then the guy says, and I want to deal only with listing agent because I know you'll cut your commission in half. Then now what do you do? So now you're really gonna go out of your way and you're gonna show him this property and not get paid. Or if he buys it or not. I don't know,
I would say, do you have an agent? They said no. Okay, you have to sign a contract for this property. If you buy this property.
Okay,
You
so
have to buy it
so this is the next answer. So you can sign a BRA
just for this property.
just for that property and I'll show it to you. If you don't want to
They
sign,
bought it,
if
just
you don't
they
want
bought
to send, you don't want to sign the BRA, go find your own agent, no problem.
Usually the bottom.
This new law is beneficial.
Mhm. If by the way, that what I just told you, if you're a Scarborough agent, you got a downtown condo for sale and somebody phones you and you don't want to show them that property, then you need to have somebody downtown you can hook up some arrangement with saying, oh, I'll give you these buyer leads for a cup of coffee or something, right?
25 for all. It's on.
No, whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you need to have that set up too, right? So anyway, so that's coming in, and I'll guess I'll find out on Wednesday whether or not they're gonna extend the April 1st or not. I'm a little surprised. I don't know. I don't like knowing the night before that you gotta do something. I think you have to have these things all prearranged, right? So, and there's all kinds of forms they haven't done yet. If this thing happens on April 1st, we have to get the the forms from Rico, which is the Rico information guide. And mandatory Rico information disclosure of self-represented parties. So you gotta get that too.
Like, it's the awareness of Ontario Real Estate Association is the organization that they been public of established law, and then we come the one who area.
No.
What's the relation between them?
The provincial government sets the law.
Okay, that means Ontario.
Yeah, Ford, right? They set the law. Reba administers the law,
We go to what?
administers the law.
So that means everything should come from. Provincial, and then they just based on what they said.
We pay it down.
And there's two parts of the law, right? There's the acts, you have an act, and you have regulations. So the act is very general. The act is very general, saying you cannot deal with an unrepresented person. That's like a general thing. Then the regulations go in and say what you're allowed to do, not to do. And right now we're at the regulation stage.
I watched the one, the revenue from the provincial one, they say.
Back in November,
It's like you're representing the client or not representing the third party. But people last week sent out an email saying that we have client and that client. So I got a little confused, like.
Yeah.
Why?
prospective client.
Yeah.
Prospective client mean, did anybody watch that stuff, by the way? Just Irene and I are deadheads. I mean, eh? I have to watch I watched the 20-minute video on Rico for the phase 1 and the phase 2, a second one, and I watched the 40-minute one on ARIA.
But the one from provincial is, I found it pretty clear, but the one who studying and put this one, the maybe established the law or regulation, there's a guy he conduct the revenue, and then people is keeping confused about it.
So it confused me too. Anyway, so we'll figure this out. At the end of the day, we're just gonna do the same, just different pieces of paper. Okay. Phase 2 came out, and that's apparently April 1st as well. And phase 2, they've got a little more detail. And it's funny, I like this here. They want disclosures, consent, acknowledgements. They want clarity and communication. They want it in plain language, and they plain language, clear and concise. So what I told Rico this morning is you guys should take your advice and do it on the private, like the self-represented people, because it's not clear at all. Right? I'm not friends with Rico either. Multiple representation they talked about. So fine, same thing. Multiple representation, you have to get confirmation representation. You have to let everybody understand that multiple representation, what your job is, what their job is, so on and so forth. That's pretty much the same, different things. Timing. So fine, you have to explain the agency, especially multiple representation, before they put an offer in. That's normal language. We have to do that anyways, right? We have to, before they sign you guys do that, right? Before you sign the agreement, you have to sign working with the realtor.
Yeah.
And then you have to sign the BRA or the listing agreement, then you have to sign the agreement. Can't do it the other way around, because everybody has a 1, 2, 3. Right? I know everybody does it all at the same time. Right? But anyways. Clients versus prospective clients. So there's no customers. You're either a client or you're self-represented. So you're either a client or a prospective client. Prospective client is the client that I told you phoning you off the webpage. He's a prospective client. He's not a client yet because he didn't sign anything, but he's a prospective client. So you can give him general information about the market, but you're not allowed to give them specific information about anything until they sign an agreement. I haven't got deeper into this, but if they don't sign an agreement, they say they want to put an offer in, you can't give them service, then you have to say to them, well, if you're self-represented, I can't give you service, therefore go to what's the name of that store that we get all office supplies and pencils? They're probably out of business now. It used to be in the malls. Used to be in the malls. Grand Toy, right? Go to Grand Toy, get a form, fill it out, and give me your offer. Because you're not allowed to type it for them. Right? Like if you're not allowed to give a self-represented person service, and the guy says to you, I want to put an offer in. Normally, if it was a customer, you type it for him, but because he's self-represented, you're prohibited from giving him service. So what Rico's telling me, and I'll have to get it changed, you're not allowed to type the offer for him. So now when the
That's
guy,
the
so now when the
difference.
guy phones you up and says, hey, I want to deal with the listing agent because I want to have my commission back, you'll say, I'd love to do that, but the law won't allow me.
Yeah,
So,
but people don't listen to it because the law agent is giving back 1%, 1.5%
right,
all the time. And this lady put an offer on our property with a 6 offer. And we told her that you need to have a $1 million. So okay, if you have your offer $1 million, I put 975 because I'm gonna save 2.5%. Okay, and I said, this is not how it works. I said, I'm sorry, we can't do this.
see, and they weren't, you didn't sign them under BRA or anything, right?
They signed BRA.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay, so now you can
Yeah.
deal with them. So once you sign BRA, now they're your client, you can deal with them the way you want.
Yeah, but so we don't drop the commission.
No, that's fine. But my point here is that if they didn't sign that BRA, you couldn't discuss
We
anything.
couldn't have an offer anyway.
That's right. They want us now to disclose conflicts of interest. Again, this is all April 1st. I mean, was it, at least the 20th? This is,
Jesus.
and they have to come up with all these forms to boot. Everything I talk about has a form, and we haven't got any forms in our hands yet, so it'll come
So
soon.
if you show the property, they did not sign the BRA and.
You can't, not allowed to show the property to somebody that's not represented.
It's already happened. Can you not get the BRA signed and then get to the offer?
That's what most.
Well,
That's what
okay,
we've been doing in the past.
see, but in your case, yeah, but in your case, that's fine, because it's your listing. But if,
No, but other people, like I'm bringing 2 offers.
Yeah.
Other people listening.
yeah, so, so according to the new rules, and again, I'm just telling you what they say, what you do is correct. I can't see anybody doing anything different. Okay, you're gonna treat the client favor, you're gonna show them stuff, you're gonna talk about the market. If he wants to put an offer in, then you're gonna get him assigned to a BRA. If he doesn't want to sign a BRA, then you're gonna tell him to take off.
Then go to somebody else.
That's fine. Right? And they've got to sign a BRA with that guy. So might as well sign with you. He's got to sign with him anyway. You follow that part? So if they don't sign the BRA eventually, then you can't deal with it.
I feel like it's trying to protect the agents a little bit from
So I
wasting
think we
time
need
and
to
all
have
that.
some sort of show somebody from the court to say, this is the rule, and you email them to the buyers.
That's right. I've got a short summary here, but it's, oh no, it's 10. Conflicts of interest is a new form. Conflict of interest, did you have a conflict of interest? Conflict of interest is not disclosure of information. The conflict of interest, do you have a conflict of interest? In other words, does anybody ever come to you, say, I want to buy this property, but don't put my name on it, put someone else's name on it because I don't want the seller to know it's me?
Can't do that.
Well, you can, but it's conflict of interest and you have to disclose that to the seller. Oh, by the way, the person you're buying is not the guy on the paper. The guy's buying it's your neighbor.
That just happened. Someone
Just did.
I just heard of a couple this weekend. They got divorced. And the husband put an offer on it with an undisclosed name and he bought the house off his ex-wife. And apparently that's okay.
Well, so the new law says you have to disclose conflict of interest.
In that case, he would have had.
So it's not-
to-
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, well, they accepted
Yeah,
it.
how about
He
that?
didn't disclose
We're just
anything.
gonna property.
He's like, oh, that's not really strange,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I don't know how that
show
works,
to the buyer.
but I
Yeah.
heard it happened to a friend of mine.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
But let's do a property.
So she listed a property, right?
And the neighbor wanted to see the property.
Neighbor wants to see it. Okay,
And seller said, no, bring them in. I would rather sell it today than next.
okay.
So they showed the property and they showed over. Same day. So our client wanted to put an offer 50,000 over asking. Seller said, I will take it. Next day, process the listing in the morning. It doesn't show. We said we have registered offer. At night, we had 4 offers, we accepted our offer. And for in the listing, no photos available, seller do not want to have any photos. No offer date. Anything wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm not sure the question. Did,
I've seen the
no.
property
Did the neighbor buy it or did someone else buy it? The neighbor bought it?
No, other buyers. Somebody else.
Someone else bought it. Okay, so everything's normal then.
So they looked at the house today. They want to put an offer, seller want to accept that offer. But I said, I can't sell it because sign is there coming soon. I said, I'm gonna put in the MLS tomorrow. And let other agents see the property. And we'll register the offer, whatever the time. And we get 4 or 5 hours and there's 3 other offers. And we accepted our offer.
So the neighbor didn't get accepted.
Everybody else was 100,000 lower than ours.
So the neighbor was neighbor lost out too. So what's the question then?
The question is it okay to sell the property same day?
Yeah.
To the first guy, I mean, to the first guy.
To the guy who seen day before yesterday, but give the opportunity to every.
So we take directions from our sellers.
Oh, I.
That,
asked the seller,
so we
send
take,
me
we
email
take,
that I'm on
let me take that back. We take legal directions from our seller. Legal, I've got to get back into that. So, yeah, you take legal instructions from your seller. Your seller wants to sell the neighbor on the day one, why, who's to stop?
No, I didn't sell the name, but if I said, send me email, say I wanted to process the listing today, I don't care about the photos, I would rather sell it today than next week. And let all the agents come in and whatever we get tonight, we'll do that.
That's fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Why even put it on?
It was MLS listing.
No, but why put it on?
It was MLS listing signed by the seller, there's a sign that's coming soon.
You're gonna remove the sign.
There's gonna be no complaints. Just make sure you cover your butt.
You can't do that.
The question is, he sold himself.
Yeah,
No,
his own
there's
buyer.
not, there's another,
Another agent's different.
the real question is, I sold myself. When you get in trouble?
Yeah, but probably wasn't about it. You know? You never know what's going on.
And the answer is, as long as you're taking your seller's instructions, you're okay.
Yeah. I just told him, I said, send me an email.
You have to disclose any direct or indirect benefit. We're doing this already anyways. In other words, are you getting a referral fee from a mortgage broker? You have to disclose that, and the new rule says you have to disclose how much. Right now, we take a listing and it says, I may or may not be getting a referral from somebody else. It says, are you on your listing agreements? You guys do that, right? This agreement says that any referral fees were, or blah, 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 but now they're saying that they want to know how much. They say that if you use a home inspector on a regular basis, and you want your son to buy a place and use that home inspector, and home inspector does it free because you're a good guy, you have to disclose that.
You have to
Does what?
disclose if you got it from an online link.
If you've got a benefit from, if you're getting a benefit from somebody, you have to disclose that, right?
Isn't that illegal?
But it's the entire intention of this, all laws changing, what is it, they wanna fine us to make more money? Or what?
Yes, yes.
That's the
No.
whole idea.
Yeah, because the phase three, by the way, phase three is when we get, I'm talking about phase two right now. Phase three, when we talk about fines and automatic fines and things like that, so, yeah.
So that's the intention.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so material facts. Material facts we have to disclose, and before we would disclose them, we would just disclose it somehow. What, we tell them, send them an email, send whatever it might be, right? So you sort of have something now there's a form for that. So there's a form for material facts. Material fact would be what? Anybody remember?
Leak in the basement.
Material fact is a fact that would affect the buyer's decision to purchase the property or not.
Suicide.
Somebody
So
died in the property.
somebody died in the property. Doesn't bother me, but I'm not the guy buying it. She's buying it. So she has to decide whether it bothers her or not. So they want that in writing. Material fact would be, yeah, that type of thing. Something. What's the other fund? There's material fact and what's the latent defects, right? Defects that the seller's aware of, but any normal person going to the house would not be aware of. Place floods every spring. Right? And the guy sells it every fall. Facts the seller is legally obligated to disclose. Anybody had this? What's the illegal thing? Okay, so the property was a grow up, but I fixed it. Don't tell anybody. You have to take your seller's instructions. Your seller told you don't disclose it. You have to take your seller's instructions. Like what it says here, that legally you have to disclose it. And if for some reason you feel that you don't want to disclose it because you've taken your client's instructions, then you have to reject the contract.
Reject the contract?
Yeah.
Like you listed.
Like get rid of it. Yeah. You must refuse to do it.
So what about clear, if it is newly built house, and there's some problem, workmanship or something and the builder fixed it. I don't think it's a big deal.
No, I don't think so. I think you're fine.
Because there's-
The property information statement, we don't use them. I'm not gonna get involved in that. Okay, so the consent for representation agreements. Now, again. None of this should scare anybody, although it shouldn't, but it may, and you have to be aware of it. I hate to deliver it, but. They have to come up with new forms. So in other words, right now, when you take a listing. Can't believe they can do this by April 1st, but anyways, you take a listing right now and you have to put on there, what? 5% commission?
Mhm.
And you have to put in the co-op commission.
Yeah.
The new rules say that you have to put in your fee
No.
only.
Right.
Then you have to put in what you're gonna pay the cooperating broker separately.
Yeah,
So it's not gonna be 5% and
So
2.5,
2.5.
it's gonna be 2.5 or 2.5. You have to state on there, if you sell it yourself. What's the commission gonna be?
If you leave it blank, would that be 5%?
No blanks. Yes, I will, when soon as I see them. What if somebody from the brokerage sells the property,
Oh, that's another commission? You have to put a commission again?
right? So
And is that open to the public?
your client has to sign it, right?
Like, it's displayed to the. like,
So
real
just
estate
so you know,
agent?
there is no discount if a fellow agent from the brokerage sells the property. All right. Shouldn't be. And what they're trying to do, they're trying to stop from going somewhere, say. What else? Okay, so right now, if the listing is longer than 6 months, you have to get them to sign a separate little bubble. No, you have to get, not anymore. The expiry date has to be at the very beginning of the agreement and they have to initial it every time. So whether it's 2 days or 2 years, they have to initial it. It's no big deal, right? Okay, so that's part 2 that'll be coming out soon, so that's fine.
Is that it?
Oh, I've got, that's it for phase 2. There's lots more stuff. That's the good stuff. But my point here is don't get all freaked out. Nothing's gonna change. We're still nothing, tomorrow the sun's gonna come up like it normally did. Nothing's gonna change. But there will be some difference in paperwork and they'll have the meeting on Wednesday, whether this is effective on April 1st or some other time. Questions?
and Claire's capital gain is still 100%, right?
Capital gain's still there, yeah.
I have
Okay,
one
so-
question- I have one question about the defense, the near Delmont. So even if it was properly remediated. you
That's
still
fine.
just
No,
go-
that's fine. No, material fact is something that hasn't been fixed, right?
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, there's something in there that talks about fire, okay, let's say a house had a fire. And so the fire's been fixed, do you have to disclose that there was a fire?
You have to disclose.
Well, sorry, I think that's what I meant to say, not the defect. part.
Yeah, so I would say you would, even though it's been fixed on a fire, you'd have to say yes, because chances are, when they go to the attic, they still have that black charred stuff, they don't replace everything. All right,
Yes.
so that's something you wanna do.
Somebody dies, not in the condo, outside. Jump off the balcony. You have to disclose that somebody died in the condo, or they have to give full detail.
Jumped off the condo balcony.
It's still his place.
He jumped.
Balcony.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, it
Still alive.
belongs to.
Didn't say that.
Her son was fighting with me. She did not die in the car. And then he checked with the area rules. He said, you don't have to disclose it.
Correct.
I said, you do have to disclose. I had a fight with him. And finally got it.
Okay, so okay, complicated here, just let me give you how the rules work with that type of thing, exactly. So the question is, somebody jumped off the balcony in a condominium and passed away. So obviously, the person did not die in the condo.
No.
All right, so the seller's saying, hey, the client didn't die in the condo, you do not have to disclose it, I'm telling you, do not disclose it. All right, and if you talk, and I talked to my lawyer says you do not have to disclose it,
Yep, the lawyer said no.
and he's absolutely correct. All right,
That's correct.
he's correct.
Yeah.
He's correct.
I said, I won't take the list if I don't disclose.
He's correct, but you as a listing agent have to disclose, because you're bound under different laws. You're bound under the code of ethics. And if you know something, you are bound to disclose it, not your client, but you are. Right?
If you didn't know that, difference.
And if you didn't know, that's right.
So
But,
you have to the other agent.
Would you tell?
but
this
now
seller-
under the new
would you
rules,
tell this
on the
seller-
new rules, you can't just tell them. You gotta have it on that form.
I put in Schedule B and have the buyer initial. it.
Hmm.
So would you tell the seller when you're listing a property, don't tell anything to me? But you don't want to tell the buyer, whatever you tell me, I have to disclose.
I'm being taped here. so- I tell you what, to answer the question, we've had somebody here come to me, says, I don't know if it's a grow up or not, and they start Googling it and start Google. I'm saying, you don't want to know, don't Google it,
So don't ask questions.
right? You don't want to know. Anything else on that? So don't worry about that. So the best thing they did is you have to charge 6% commission, nothing less.
Was that?
Which form's that? You have to charge 6% commission. If you charge less than 6% commission, then you get in trouble.
Yeah, you have to report people.
Okay, so this is coming down, so, okay, that's fine. All right, now, the last thing I want to talk about here is probably the biggest thing, it's probably the biggest thing for you guys to do your business with. And Nelson and I have been complaining about this forever, and we think that Realtor.ca should do it, but they never did, or maybe they will when they privatize, but you guys, I'm sure, are complaining when your clients go to Home Sigma or they go to other websites and they get the sold data.
Yeah.
Now you can give them sold data on Realm. So we introduced Realm last fall to everybody here to get you going. Then they decide they're not going to do Realm until this fall. So, but I'm thinking because of this, you might want to learn Realm sooner than later. Because now, under your Stratus, when you set up a client, you have them on prospect search. Anybody does prospect search
Yeah.
for clients? And when you prospect search for clients, all you have to do is put their first name, last name, their email address, and that's it. And then the thing sends it out at night, or if you set up the other way, it's live. But anyways, it sends it out. Under Realm, it's different. Realm, if you're going to set up that same search, you actually have to send your client an invitation to Realm, and they have to consent to Castle, and then they can access Realm through their email address and their passcode, and they can access Realm just like Stratus prospect search.
Is that not same as collaboration?
It is collaboration,
Oh, we do that all the time.
but effective March 16th, when your client uses a Collaborate, he'll have access to the sold data as well.
That's good.
And he can search that sold data within communities or sold data everywhere else. So there's no reason for them to be going to House Sigma unless, of course, they want the average price, which hopefully that's your job, right? So how are you going to do this? So first of all, I recommend everybody do it yourself. Sign yourself up as a client. Make up a fake email address or fake name or something there. Set yourself up as a client and see how it works. And it's kind of curious. So I went in there, I've set up a fake client, and I can go in there and I can search and I can ask questions. And when I ask questions, it doesn't send me an email, it sends me through the chat box. So I say, hey, I'm interested in this property here, and hit enter. As a agent that's giving them the permission to do this, I get on their contact list, I get their question. So
You're sending the question to the agent?
this is my client. I've sent my client invitation to join Collaborate. So they've signed it, so they're under me. So when they go to the sold data, all the contact information is me. It's not the listing agent. The listing brokerage does show up, and the listing brokerage phone number does show up, just like any other web page. But I'm the one that's the contact. So if they want further information, they want to show property, the inquiry comes to me. Right? So why couldn't you, would you, on your web pages, maybe have some type of sign up sheet there? Hey, get sold data, get sold information, do this, have a have a landing page that they give you their email and their password that they want to use, and you set them up with Collaborate based on that. Or invite them straight to the Collaborate and set up their own account. But this is a bit of a game changer, I think, with the sold data. Is everybody else, I don't know, you follow what I'm saying there?
Everyone's.
Run.
Is there expiry date for this, like usually 90 days or? 45?
Likely, yeah, likely. I didn't get involved. Yes, there is. Well, Castle there is for sure. Unless you treat them as a personal client.
Will you invite them and they have to click on the link to do
Yeah,
it?
so again, you can either have a landing page on your web page, or you can actually be proactive and invite them to set up something, right? And you can actually set up the original search
Mhm.
and then send it to them, and they can actually play around with it and change it and do what they
It's
want.
like, it's always a, good idea to, you can get a buyer contract signed, say, if you sign the buyer contract, I'm gonna give you something like it, my own passport, you know,
Hmm.
so you can have access to everything that, you know, instantly.
It's all in the pitch, right? So if you're doing buying Buffini type stuff or past client database, and that you want to serve, because you're with me, you get this special thing. Now, Trev has come up with this sheet here. This is a little tip sheet for your clients to use. So, or maybe for you to use. All right. And it's login. Basically, it's a quick reference guide for clients. So it shows them how to do it, or maybe shows you how to do it. Click 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure if we can throw that onto somewhere, right? So if you're not familiar with it, if you give it to them, yeah.
It's a password.
There's no password, it's a,
Yep.
you invite them, subject, and they put the username and password. Within the-
For themselves. Don't
They
create
download that app.
their own account.
They
Create their own
download that.
account, way to go, right? Now, we've got that realm training that Katelyn tells me 50 people have been through it and that, so we'll fire that off again too, just to do the realm training if you want to get back into the realm, but there's a good reason to be doing that.
Yeah, flyer.
Or like, basically, this is the one where we invite our client to join more. If you, some of you to attend the last session, we talk about it, basically, that is. You have exercise that to like, we look at the exercise, we talk about the example we have. That's why. We invite your client, they create their good name, their password, and then they can go to log, and then they can. As a way that. All the other.
Okay, I'm done. Any questions?
Yeah, we
No.
had 78 people in the open house.
Yeah, I knew there's lots of people doing open houses.
Sad is what it is. It's 15 offers.
Did you sell it? So the market's picking up fine. Okay, the last thing here, so open house, anybody else? No, that's good. Any other questions? Property you want to talk about?
That's fine.
Wednesday. For those that are interested, you gotta expose yourself to this. Don't sit there.
Listing, coming on tomorrow. As a go, in Kingston and Bellamy, south of Kingston Road. The south exposure, the lake view. So I'm actually asking by 4 9.
2 bedroom.
Not too much, but you can, from bedroom and living room, lake view.
3390.
2311.
Used to be co-op.
Okay, and there's one more thing here. When we did did anybody look at that PF flyer we sent out last time? Anybody look at the PF flyer, the flip chart? Looks pretty good, right? One thing that Katelyn slipped in there, which is pretty slick, was the 365-day social media action plan. It's not for everybody. If anybody wants to get involved with a social media action plan, there was a very nice Excel sheet there, a little step-by-step, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, like it goes on. For 365 days, what to do with your social media and how to post things and how to get out there and what to do. So if you want sort of a roadmap on what to do every day for 365 days on social media, you might want to have a look at that particular program this there. I think it's an Excel file.
Yeah, it's on the Google Drive.
It's on the Google Drive as an Excel file. Did anybody look at that? I'm looking at Aaron. Aaron, did you look at that stuff? No? Yeah, you looked at it? Yeah, good.
What it says.
So if you want to get involved in social media and you have a bit of a schedule going on, then definitely have a look at that. It's there. So
Just to give you guys ideas.
just an idea. I mean, it's a nice little thing to follow 1 to 65, 365, but there it is. Okay, I'm done. Anybody else? Happy Iranian New Year's. Happy Iranian New Year's. Happy solstice. Happy spring. All the above.
Today's a new year, yeah.
Today's a new year, right?
Today's the
Did you
spring.
know? Yeah. Okay, folks. All right. Thanks a lot. Take care.
There's no rules. Iranian needs. No.